Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today. We are going to be painting. I think it's going to be really fun. It's heart hands. I have my husband Mark here with me today.
Hey there, everybody.
And this is our special bonus video for my Patreon folks. So thank you guys. I know our audience will probably be a little bit smaller than normal, but I really appreciate you guys that have supported us this month on Patreon. And so this is your bonus video. Hope you enjoy it. And grab my paints here. And you can see I did my practice one earlier today, kind of working on some of the color tones. The values are a little bit off. I made it a little bit lighter than the example photo if you look at it there, but we can make it darker if we want to as we work. So I kind of liked the lighter tones, but you can, adjust it however you'd like. I'm looking for my example photo. I don't know what I did with it. Where it went to. There it is. There we go. So you can see kind of it's a little bit closer to my printout. So I was going more by this printout than the original photograph. Softened it up a little bit. So we're going to do it on a 12 by 9 panel, and I got a Masonite panel this time, but you can use your notebook or whatever size canvas you want on this and just adjust your printout. And I have the traceable available on the Patreon board, and I will have it in our Facebook group as well. So let's get started. This is just pre-gessoed, so I don't have to do anything to the board. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just mix up our base color to work with, and then we'll adjust it with some of the other colors. So one of the colors that we're going to need is a black for our skin. And actually, now that I think about it, let me do this while my paint's drying on the background. We'll do our background first. I'm a little scattered today. I've been sitting down and painting for 3 hours already. So
Now, don't be scared.
Got to get into, I know, it was a little scary.
She's worked out all the kinks.
I hope so. This was definitely challenging. All right, so we're grabbing some white and some, I'm going to click that. I'll leave it, I guess. White and Ultramarine Blue. And we'll do the top horizon line with this color. I'm going to add just a touch of the burnt umber to it, just to neutralize it a little bit so it's not so in your face blue. Maybe even a little bit more of that brown. There we go. I'm going to do it a little bit darker in the corners. So grab a little bit more of that burnt umber and dark blue. Put that up there in that upper corner. I thought the Masonite board would be, it's slightly textured, but I thought it might be a little bit easier for skin tone. The paper worked out pretty well, but it was a little bit hard to tell how it was going to behave with the board, since the paper kind of wicks out all the moisture, so I was having trouble blending on the paper. So if you do it on your paper, you might need to add a little bit of blending medium to your, or glazing medium to your paints, because I was struggling getting it to blend well for me. Add a little bit more white as we get down towards my horizon line, and I didn't draw that in, so I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. It's actually right smack dab in the middle, and normally I wouldn't do that, but you kind of want to have it right there so that you can see the shoreline through the hands there. So I'm kind of doing this, that's not a very straight line. And then there's like a mountain right here that comes down. There How are we doing today, hon? Did everybody find us okay?
Yep. Well, I don't know. I don't know who's looking for us.
That's true.
Hey, I had to ask you to find us. I wasn't sure how to get here.
Yeah.
Yep, it's definitely slower, which is nice. I can read and keep up.
Good. Good. I figured it would be a little bit smaller since we...
And now I'm realizing that being put on timeout yesterday was just preparing me for today.
You weren't put on timeout. I just wanted you to slow down the questions. You asked like 4 questions in a row, and then I couldn't even think about what I was doing.
Hey, I'm a professional here.
Normally, I don't mind questions. It was just a weird day. All right, so that's pretty good, I think. Might want to go a little bit darker up in the corners there, so I'm going to grab a little bit more of my Ultramarine Blue and a little bit of burnt umber. Make a nice dark color there. And blend that in. That's already starting to dry, so I might have to come back to it.
Now, you may have said it.
Yeah, it is. I'm going to leave it.
What level of difficulty is this going to be?
This is probably one of the most difficult that I've done, I would say.
So pretty advanced.
Yeah.
If you're a beginner, don't attempt this and say it came out like
Right.
a mess.
Yeah. Don't
Okay.
blame the teacher.
Right. Just want to make sure up front, when people try, sometimes they jump in there and then they didn't
Right.
realize it was an advanced.
Yeah, it's definitely an advanced blending lesson. It's a really good blending lesson, but there is a lot of subtle blending in the hands. A lot of color tones, a lot of blending of colors. So it's a really good, I think, color blending and just general blending on your canvas lesson. But I'm using this dark color for the mountains too. That's not to say don't, try to challenge yourself. But what I would say is go ahead and attempt it. And if it all goes south, then you can just paint it in black and do it as silhouette, because that's totally, definitely a, beginner.
Okay, we got our first question.
Okay.
Asking, where do you find masonite boards?
This one I got on dickblick.com. So they had a, I don't have it down in the thing, but I did find one that's similar and post it down in the links. So it's on Amazon there. But this one was the student packet, so it had 12 of them in there, and they were pretty inexpensive, and I think so far so good. I'm thinking it's doing okay. It's kind of lifting a little bit easier, I'm finding, so the paint doesn't want to stick to it as well, but I'm hoping that once I get a couple layers down here, it'll start working a little bit better. For the bottom part, I'm going to use Phthalo Blue, and I'm just going to go ahead and mix it into what I've already got going on here.
Now, I think they've changed their name recently to Blick Materials.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so if this is in the future 2018, 2019,
right.
you may not find them under the Dick Blick name anymore.
Yes. That's true. Thank you, honey. Good point. All right. Just going to put this on with horizontal brush strokes. The waves will get smaller as they go farther away, but our photograph is very, very blurry, so you're not really seeing a lot of the detail. It's all very kind of fuzzed out in the background here, so I'm probably going to go back over some of this with some lighter colors and try to blend out these edges a little bit. So, but I don't want to do too much work on this background since the focus is going to be on the hands. I don't want to spend too much time messing with it. And here again, there's some darker color in the corners, so I'm going to grab a little bit of the darker phthalo and some of the burnt umber. Burnt umber looks like it wants to dry up already. There we go. Just lay in some dark color along that bottom edge. Just make sure your paint isn't starting to dry because it'll start to lift if you mess with it while it's drying.
Okay, so a question asking, so you're mixing the
Oops, I'm off camera there, honey.
phthalo blue and white to get different blue shades?
I'm mixing phthalo blue and white and burnt umber. And then up here was phthalo blue, or was ultramarine blue and burnt umber and white. So the burnt umber just tones down the color a little bit, neutralizes the saturation a little bit. And it's because, you know, this is kind of an overcast gray looking. There's a lot of browns in the water here. It's not a vibrant color. So we're just trying to tone it down a little bit, give it a little bit of, neutralize it a little bit. Okay. I'm going to clean that out. I think my sky is... It's almost dry. Yeah, we'll mix a little bit and we'll see. I'm going to mix a little bit of the ultramarine blue with the burnt umber there, and I'm going to just use it up here in that upper corner. Grab some white, mix a little bit of white in there. Oh, you can? I was asking Mark how many people are watching. I knew that it was going to be small because we had a lot of people saying they were going to have to watch it later. It's a Sunday afternoon. I totally get that. And I think a lot of people just donated just to donate and weren't even really worried about showing up, which was nice. Okay, I'm going to go over this mountains here with this kind of light blue color. Grab a little bit of that darker blue. We're just going to fuzz out that maybe not that much. There we go. And we'll do the same thing down here in the water edge. Just kind of fuzz it out a little bit. All right, I might go back in and add a little bit more of that dark blue. I think I took out a little bit too much of the mountain there. Disappeared it all the way. Didn't mean to do that. Yeah, you got a simple job today, honey. You're just like, I don't think this group is going to have any problems. Since it's a secret link. I don't think you're going to have any spammers or anybody messing with you today.
Well, I'm kind of nervous and anxious too.
Why? Oh, because you're going to do your Stickman 3.0 today. Is that the plan?
Don't sound too excited there. I mean, hold back. Jeez.
I forget, it is exciting if you haven't done it a lot,
My one shining moment.
Right. Okay. I think that'll be good. We'll grab a little bit of the Phthalo Blue and burnt umber. Do a few more really dark sections in here. Try to keep them kind of horizontal. Darken up these corners down low here. All right. Oh, I keep getting too low. And then grab some white. Do really light highlights. Ooh, those are really light, maybe too much. There we go. Do some light colors through and above the darker. Just a little bit. I'm kind of almost dry brushing this with my brush, so I don't have a lot of paint on my brush. I'm kind of just lightly sweeping it so that it'll catch some of the canvas texture. But I'm keeping all of the brush strokes kind of this horizontal, and that way it'll give you that illusion of water. All right. We're good. Yeah, like it. Okay, let's put in some clouds and we'll get started on our hands here. So I'm going to grab a little bit of white on the tip of my Deerfoot stippler. You could use a stiff bristle brush if you don't have one. And I'm just going to scrub, and I have very, very little paint on there. If you can see, it doesn't even look like there's any paint on there. There's a little bit on the tip, but so that's how much paint you want on your Deerfoot, and that'll give you control. You want to just scrub until you get most of that paint off, until it feels like there's nothing coming off anymore. So just keep on going as far as you can, and then you can go back in and scrub out the bottom edges a little bit. You can grab a little bit of the sky color, add that. And do some of the sky, do some of the clouds with a little bit of blue tint to them.
We have a question.
Yeah.
Asking, how do you choose between burnt sienna and burnt umber when you're picking the colors or painting?
Well, burnt sienna has a lot more warmer tones. It's an orangey brown, and then the burnt umber is more of a true brown. It's like a, it's my favorite true brown. So but it's also kind of warm. It does have a little bit of blue to it if you mix it with white. Sometimes it looks a little bit purplish, for like a skin tone color. So I don't know. It just depends. They both work. Like I could have used the burnt sienna I use the burnt sienna a lot with my water too. In Phthalo Blue and burnt sienna I've used before. Burnt umber gives it a little bit more green tone because it's got a little bit more blue in it. And then because of the orange in the burnt sienna, it neutralizes it even more. Because orange and blue are opposite on the color wheel, so those colors completely, neutralize each other. So when if I was to add burnt sienna to my phthalo blue, it would have been a little even more neutralized, even more gray blue color. So I went with a little bit more blue in this one. Okay. That looks pretty good. And then I can go back in with my Deerfoot and get some really, really bright white just at the very tip, and then just add a little bit of that in a couple places to brighten up the tops of some of these. Just tap in. The clouds along the horizon line here grow or are very small, so you can do like a couple of like really thin lines right down there, kind of make it look like they're farther away. Okay, I think that's good. Honestly, this is almost dry, so I don't think I'm going to need you to dry it today, honey.
Okay, I'll just sit back and relax then.
So I'm going to go ahead and trace mine on. We can go over how to draw it real quick, though. I don't know if anybody's going to want to draw it themselves. I did in my Patreon group on Facebook. I did some bonus videos in there this month on drawing hands. So we did some exercises about negative space, and that's how I kind of encouraged them to draw these, is focusing on these shapes, not the hand itself, but the shapes that are made around the hand. So this heart shape, and trying to draw the borders of the heart instead of drawing the hand itself. It helps trick your eye into not realizing that it's drawing a hand till it's too late. It can't interfere with what you're thinking, doing. So I like to just take my example, figure out, how big I want to make it, and then start kind of make a kind of a reference of how big I'm wanting to do it. So my knuckle's going to be up there, then my other one's going to be right here. The bottom of my hand's going to be right in here. Or well, no, it's actually going to be lower than that. It's going to be down in here. Just give myself a few little spots to kind of work towards, and then I'm going to use my hand and just guide me along as I sketch the hand. You might find it easier to start at the top here and do the little, excuse me, that's the Coke.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Yes, Coca-Cola.
Just make sure.
Just to be clear.
Right.
Clear. There. There's another little knuckle right here. The one that comes down here. And I just keep referring back and checking. I don't have a whole lot in there yet to start checking it, but once I get, and this was a little bit too big, it looks like. Oh, come on. check my angles so I can look and see my angle there coming up off the thumb is that. So I need to steepen that a little bit and come back around. This kind of flattens out right there. It's a little slight angle. There's a dip right here. And then it curves back out and down for that wrist. And then this finger at the top here curves up over this knuckle, goes kind of straight. There's a sharp bend right there, and then comes down at an angle like that. So we're about right. And then that ends right about where that is, right there. And that's about where this finger starts on this side too. There's a little bit more space there maybe. And that'll be the side of the hand. Come down. And it angles out, and then there's a little bump for the wrist there. That may be a little bit narrow. If you notice, I'm kind of doing multiple lines as I draw, and then I can go back in and firm up the one that's closest to what I want. So I'm just going to keep on looking at my drawing as I will want to be looking at my drawing more than my paper. That's really the key, because that'll keep you from drawing, you know, stick figure hands. No offense, Mark, but it'll keep your mind focused on what you're actually seeing and not get so caught up in your drawing that you start, you know, creating your own hand out of your imagination. So, which is fine if we were going for an imaginary hand, but we're kind of going for more realism in this one. So there's a little bit of a nail in this one. Actually, that angle is wrong. Move it over a little bit. There's a little bit of a dip there. It comes down. It's not as high as this one was, and this is actually a little bit closer together right here. So this is, now that I'm looking, again, got another loop right here. It's about the same spot as that one, and then it curves down in this space here. If you look at this line here, it's equaling that line there. It's not going to be looking like a, you know, rounded out heart. It's got some weird angles in there. So trust what your eyes are seeing and draw that. That's kind of the whole idea behind using that negative space drawing. Now, in this part here, I'm having to rely on what I'm seeing more than, there's no negative space anymore. So, but the outline, if you can at least get the outline right, the rest of it kind of falls into place in the middle. So that was the idea behind having folks draw the negative space, because then the center, the fingers become a little bit easier. We don't have that many fingers in here to have to draw. So since we're only seeing the sides of them. And actually that's up higher than that thumbnail. If you look at that one, this one comes down lower. So I want to raise this one up, maybe lower this one down a little bit. There we go. Almost done with it. I should have you tracing on my design while I'm doing this, but I don't know. That might be scary.
That would not be a good idea.
I should have just done this on my board, but I didn't want to have to make adjustments. You know, after I draw, I usually go back in and make adjustments, you know, correct angles and things like that. And I just didn't want to take the time to do that today. So we'll start out with a finished drawing and just trace it on. There's a little bump right there. Oh, bring this one over. Keep my paints moist while we're doing this. Losing my voice a little bit. I did 4 videos today this week. I'm doing a lot of talking. Okay, that angles down here, and then it angles back. That's a little bit wider than that. And then there's a lump right here for the wrist. Okay, so that's kind of our basic drawing of the hand. And then we'll get into some shading here in a minute, but not too hard. Since it's the sides of the hands, it's a little bit simpler shape. You don't have to worry about getting the fingers all, you know, just correct. I thought this would be a good one to start on for a hand project. So let me set this aside. Grab my board. I'm going to place my hands right in the middle there, making sure that I've got a little bit of my mountain showing, I think. That looks good. I'm going to use my tracing paper and my transfer paper here. Slide that under. And use my stylus to quickly. And I'm going to go just inside my drawn lines, and that way I won't have an outline on my fingers. I can adjust them and make them wider if I need to later, but if I go inside the line just slightly, it'll keep me from having a weird outline to have to cover. Now I forgot what I drew. There we go. Okay. This is a super exciting part here. Sorry. You're supposed to entertain them for this part. I should have had you drawing your stick man while I was doing this, honey.
Well, I have to do it on camera, so it'd be difficult to.
True. Well, they don't have to see me doing this. I should have just moved over and you could have.
It's too late now.
Taken over.
We'll
Well,
do it
yeah,
at the
I'm
end.
almost done. Okay. Okay. So I've got it all in there. I think so. Now if you get any extra marks on there like I did, you can just take your damp cloth and wipe those off, or you can use an eraser even on it. Sometimes that graphite paper kind of scratches along when I moved it. All right. There we go. Let's get to painting. All right, so this was the burnt umber and ultramarine blue. We're going to make a black out of it. I really need to wipe off all of this blue from my palette so that I don't have it messing with my skin tones. Give myself some room. Oh, look what I did. Okay, don't do that. Okay, good enough. All right, so Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber makes this really nice black here. And that'll be the color that we are going to use to gray out any of our skin tones that need graying. So it's going to be a good color to have. We'll grab some of our white and we'll mix a little bit of the white in on the side, and we'll leave some of it really, really dark and have some of it being this lighter gray. Let me add a little bit more blue now that I'm seeing it with the white. Okay. So there's some really light, kind of medium, and then darker. Get some even lighter. There we go. I think this will speed us up, just pre-mixing some of these colors, not having to stop and mix them over and over again. So we'll just mix up a large batch of some of the main colors that we're going to need, and then we'll be able to dip into them as we work. So the next color is going to be our main flesh tone color, and actually it's going to be okay to have a little bit of the blue underneath probably, because we're going to add a little bit of it anyways. So I'm going to make a red yellow oxide mix, and I'm going to need more yellow oxide than red. It's going to make this orangey color, and then we're going to add white to it. I need a lot more yellow. I added too much red to it. I'll grab a little bit more of my yellow oxide. So working out flesh tones is kind of a inexact science, so you're just going to have to kind of play with the colors to get the mixture that you're looking for. It's got, our skin tones are kind of a peachy, Caucasian skin tones at least, are kind of this peachy color. That's better. That's the main undertone. There's a lot of pink in it, but it's not pink. It's got a lot of yellow in it too. So it's kind of in between. And then we're going to add more white. That had a little bit of blue in it, but that's okay. Because we're going to use that gray that we mixed to tone it down, because it's going to be too saturated in its form right here. So I'm going to grab a little bit more white. And the Unbleached Titanium we can use as kind of a highlight color. So I'm not going to use it today for my, there we go, for my main skin tone, because it's a little bit too neutral. So there we go. That's a pretty color. But if you look at that against my skin tone, it's still way too saturated. So this is where we grab a little bit of the, maybe not that much, a little bit of that gray. It's got the blue in it, and that blue will help tone down the color, make it not so in your face. It's way better. Just a little bit grayed out. I'm going to go ahead and leave this brighter color. We can mix other colors into it and do some other stuff, but this is going to be our main flesh color here. We're getting there. My photograph is quite, it's in the sun, so their skin is kind of tanned more than mine, my white paleness. Definitely don't have a beach glow here. This is my winter mix right here. Translucent skin. Yeah, so. All right, so I think that that's going to work for us. We can, as we get it on here, we can decide if we need to add other things to it. And then we'll also mix up some of a bluer. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll move that over and grab a little bit of this blue and make up kind of a bluish tint, because some of the shadow areas on the skin are going to have this blue cast to it. So, and it's mixed with the other color. I don't want that phthalo blue in there though. That's too green. Okay. So, and then I can even mix up some of the blue with a little bit of the white on its own. It won't be a little bit of that and a little tiny bit of the red to make it a little bit more purple undertoned. Okay, this color is needing a little bit of red, I think. Just a little bit too much gray. You don't want it to look sickly. Grab some of this color there. There we go. That's a little bit better there. Okay, so we've got like light, medium, a little bit darker, darker still, darkest, then some shadow color here. So we've got a few tones to work with, and we'll probably mix some more that will help us out as we go too. I'm gonna grab a little bit more of my red and a little bit more ultramarine blue because I've run out. If this, oh good, okay, it worked. This is almost at this end and it fights me every time I try to open it. There we go. It cooperated, thank you. I'm gonna clean off my hands. I hope you can see the outline of the hands okay on the video there. Looks okay?
Yep, looks good to me.
Looks good to you.
Yep.
Good. All right. All right, so I'm going to put in my base coat. I'm going to use I used my angle brush when I started it, but I found that this one was too floppy. So I went with my Simmons Titanium. It seemed to work better. It's a little bit firmer brush. So I found that the firmer one worked better for me for this kind of blending that we're doing today. So you might want to keep that in mind if you've got a good brush that's firm. And just kind of clean off my hands here so I don't get anything anywhere that I don't want it. Okay, good. All right, so as we put in our colors today, we're going to focus a little bit on the value. It'll just help us not have to do as much work later. So I'm going to kind of put in my lighter colors and then grab some of the darker and work that into my shadow areas. If you look on our photograph in our picture here, the underside of the fingers is very dark right here. So I'm going to grab some of my peachy color and use that because it's kind of an orangey red cast right there in that shadow. on the tips of the fingers. Right, then I'm going to grab a little bit of the burnt umber. I didn't make a burnt umber color, but I need some. I'm going to use the burnt umber with this color, and I'm going to use it right in this crack right there where the other color, this back knuckle of the back finger here. I'll use it a little bit right in here too. Mix it into that wet paint. Grab my skin tone and blend that out while it's wet. Just lightly brush over so that it kind of blends a little bit. If you catch it while you first put it on there, you should be able to blend it out a little bit. There we go. Let me zoom in. Just make sure that I've stay in focus there. And
Are you talking to me?
I am.
Okay.
Just try to keep an eye on it if you can. Make
Okay.
sure I stay in focus.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On camera, you know.
Gotcha.
Thanks. All right, this back part of the hand is going to be pretty bright, so I might grab some of the unbleached titanium for this part and put that in right along there. We'll do as much of the work as we can while we're putting the colors on, and that way we don't have to do a whole lot later. Grab some more of that darker color, this one. Move over just a little bit. There we go. So you can see in the picture, it's actually almost like a violet color. So I might grab some of that blue that we had a little bit of red. Try to get a violet going. A little bit more reddish tones to this instead of that gray. This is kind of almost brown here. I want a little bit more red. There we go. I'll try this for this section here. It's so dark. I'm trying to catch my outlines to cover those. But if you can't get them all, then you can erase them later. They'll come off later. Okay. There's kind of a triangular shape, dark area right in here. And then there's some blue. And make this a little bit darker with some more blue. There we go. And we'll do the blue right in here. Grab some more of that flesh tone. Mix that together. I'm liking this color. I think we got it pretty close. Might be a little bit on the orange side, so we may need to tone it down a little bit, but we'll see. It'll always change a little bit when it dries too, so sometimes it's hard to tell what it's going to look like when it's completely dry when it's on your palette and you're mixing it. And you'll probably see a little bit of the blue from the undercolors show through too, so you will definitely need a couple of coats on here to get it to cover. Let me do this other thumb here. There's a highlight on this thumb right at the end there. So, but I'm not gonna, sorry. Did I mess up the mic? Good. Spray that down. Yeah, I figured this might be, I don't know, it took me, this is coming along a little bit faster than it did this afternoon for me, so I'm glad I did the preview one because I was kind of working out what colors I liked a little bit. So might make also, I didn't do this, but burnt sienna and white makes a nice kind of orangey brown color that's sort of a good in between this one and this one. So the more colors that we have to work with, the better, I think. You just want to keep them on kind of the warm tones. And you know, if you were doing a more Asian skin tone, you might use more yellows in your, just, you know, a little bit more of the yellow oxides in there. For African American skin tones, I found that red iron oxide is a good color to use in there. Burnt sienna, this color as kind of a base, and then red iron oxide and burnt umber. So today we're doing, you know, Caucasian obviously, but these could be definitely adjusted to whatever skin tone you wanted to use. That's getting a little bit on the orange side there, so let's grab some red and some of this brown that we have mixed up. Do some of that down here. It's definitely not wanting to stick there, so it's starting to dry on me. I need to let it set before I mess with it too much. And this whole back side of the arm is pretty dark, so I'm going to grab some of the dark color, a little bit of the burnt umber, make it a nice dark.
Somebody's asked,
color.
What about an olive skin tone?
Yeah, it would be burnt sienna, probably be a good burnt sienna, and more of the blues that we're using. So more of these blue undertones, I think, would work pretty well. That would be, your skin has a little bit more of the olive in it. I'd have to look at it more closely. Decide. Okay, so we got that in. We'll definitely be making some adjustments to it, but at least we've got our basic skin tones in there. And then this nail in here is a little bit darker, or a little bit brighter. So I'll just go ahead and put that in. But we'll put in the nail detail later. Okay, I'm going to switch to a very small round and do this little area in here. So I'm going to grab that, my black, my mixed black that with the burnt umber and ultramarine blue. I'm going to use that in with a little bit of this brown. Just put that in right there. And use it to kind of outline that finger a little bit. Definitely not as talkative today. It's the second day in a row. Kind of been quiet.
Well, not much to say.
Yeah. I appreciate you hanging in with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Not as much work for you today, I guess.
No. But that's okay. I can have an easy day at work once in a while.
That's right. Using that to just highlight those fingers a little bit. Okay. I'm going to grab some of that gray because this gray color is a little bit on top of that nail there. Outline it just slightly. Okay. It's actually not too bad there. I'm kind of liking what's happening with that skin tone, so that's not bad. We're almost there. Let's switch over, and you have to set that out to the side there. We'll do this side. Alright, so we started with this dark brown. And I'm just going to blend in a little bit of this lighter color in there. But it's going to be pretty dark on this. This hand in general is just a little bit darker. I think its skin tone is naturally darker too than the woman's.
Oh, so it is a man and a woman.
Yeah.
Okay, because it was some chat going on earlier trying to decide if it was.
I think it's a young man because his knuckles aren't very hairy. So I think it's probably,
What about his ears?
I don't know about that, but
Okay.
that would definitely decide it.
Right.
If we knew. That would for sure. And his skin tone is also a little bit more yellow, so I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow oxide here and mix up a little bit more of that into on this side. Maybe not that much. Woo. Grab that gray color. Mix some of that in together. It's so weird. I mean, these skin tones are so subtle that there's a very little difference between circus orange and perfect flesh color. It's just like, so you just kind of have to play with it a little bit as you do it. And sometimes, like this color looks really weird on my palette, but it works, in the painting. So, sometimes there's these weird kind of blues and greens and grays happening in our skin tone that we might not normally notice unless we really stop and pay attention. So I'm going to grab a little bit of this reddish color because these insides of these hands seem to be a little bit more red. So put that in right here. And then there's a little bit of that blue happening right in here too. Just pull those colors all the way down into the thumb.
We need to come up with some kind of a soft background music.
I know, we do. We do. I need to talk to somebody about... I've had people, you know, contact me about doing it, but the music's usually kind of weird, so it's never been anything that I've been like, yeah, I want to listen to that. And the hard part is that my videos are so long that it's hard to find tracks that are that long. You know, I can find a lot of royalty-free music that's you know, like 4-minute songs, but then you have to put in, you know, you have to put 20 of those to get, you know, or whatever.
I can put in some ocean background noises if you want me to.
There you go. Yeah, go for it.
And then we can have, maybe we can have some local artists just come in and play behind you.
I
all
kind
during
of
the
like that
show.
idea. I do.
Okay, we'll
I
see
would
what we
totally
can do.
be cool with that. I have some musician friends, but they all kind of have regular jobs too, so it's like, sure they don't want to stop what they're doing on a Sunday and come down here. You never know, though. You never know. Be good exposure. Might sell some CDs. Okay, so just adding that color all the way down. It's got a lot of that blue in it on this side. A little bit of the red, kind of pinky colors. And I'm going to darken up her other side here, but I think that that's looking pretty good. We'll grab that dark color and that bluish color and do his wrist with that. Comes down. It's a lot darker than that though, but let's use some of that gray with my red. See what happens. Just feel like it needs to be a little bit darker. That'll work. Okay. So the chat's not going a mile a minute today. Got a few less people in there.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
actually
super
read it
chill.
and keep up with what's
That's
going
awesome.
on. Yeah.
Good for you. Okay, yeah, definitely need to let that dry because it's wanting to lift. Right there, I'll just go ahead and grab some of the flesh tone, some of the lighter color. Grab some of the medium color. Blend those in to what we got going on. I hope it doesn't lift like this when I go to add a second layer. Sometimes canvas boards will do that. We'll see. Fingers crossed. Grab a little bit more of the blue. Use that kind of burnt sienna color for this shading on this back finger. I may need to switch my brush because it's tight in here, but I think I can get it. What you doing, hun?
I'm playing around.
I can hear your clicking over there. I can tell you're doing something.
Be very, very quiet.
Getting this lighter color, and I'm just going to blend it in while that's wet. Being very quiet over there. Yeah, I know.
I'm hunting
You
wabbit.
need to talk to me.
Okay. So I will say, watching, would have never have guessed to mix blues and other colors like that to get skin tone. I mean, to me, it's just very much, well, just get a brown and a light brown, and there you go.
Right. Brown and light brown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's easy.
Grab the lighter ultramarine or unbleached titanium for the top of these fingers. Here, yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've painted skin tones, so it's been kind of a good challenge for me too to try it and work it out. I just don't do portraits really at all. I don't particularly enjoy portrait painting, but I do want to get into doing a little bit more of it because I've been asked to do it. So I might do some portraits type stuff later, but I thought this would be a good starting point, a little bit less involved. Although hands do kind of throw people a lot, throw people, no pun intended. They're a little bit intimidating, I think, because, I think one of the things that I hear a lot from people is I can't draw hands, So that's why I started with this challenge as our first one this month. It's just because I wanted people to get that confidence that they actually could, that it's just a matter, really, I think we trip ourselves up with our ideas of what we can and can't do in art. But most of the time it's just because we've got some things, like hands, are things that we've drawn since we were children, and we've got these ideas in our heads of what they're supposed to look like. And so when we go to draw them as an adult, our child's mind idea of what they look like competes with what the adult is seeing. And we have issues, but I mean, I don't think a hand is any more difficult to draw than a tree or a flower necessarily. It's just different. It's different angles, different, And the thing that's a little bit more difficult is that, we do have, with the tree, they're a lot more organic. And they can grow in lots of different ways, but pretty much hands are going to grow in this, they're going to be a certain size and shape for the most part, So, you don't have to be a little bit more careful with them in your drawings. So, but, okay, so I think that's pretty good there. This side is dry now. Trying to decide if I want to switch to a smaller brush or not, but I think I'm okay for now. Keep keep on going here. All right, so now looking at my fingers here, I want to start putting in some of the blue tones, deepening up some of the values if I need to. So I'm going to mix a red and the ultramarine to make this kind of purpley color. And then we'll grab some of our white just a little bit though. I want it to be pretty dark, so I'm going to add a little bit more of that blue back in there. Okay. And I'm going to grab some of the burnt umber just to tone it down so that it's not violet all the way. It's got a little bit less saturation. And we're going to use that to shade right in here. This area is nice and dark. Grab some of my flesh tone. We're going to blend it over the top. Pick up some of that purple again. Blend that in. I'm just going to go back and forth with those two colors till we get it softened. Are you playing ocean sounds? Is that what you're doing?
I was trying, but it wasn't coming through very loud. So
Oh, okay.
I think I'm going to blame it on the new cord you got me here.
Ah,
You stole my other one.
I did. Okay, I'm going to grab some of this and make just a little bit more reddish tone. I feel like it needs a little bit of red right in here. I'm going to add a little bit of that right on top. Don't be afraid of going really dark in these little dark areas, because that'll give your fingers more dimension. If you look at our photograph, they are quite dark in those shadow areas. Okay, that's pretty good, I think. It's got kind of a interesting tone going. We'll add some highlights up top here, but I'm going to keep going with these colors while I've got them on my brush. So I'm going to get a little bit of that red going on this underside of this finger. A little bit of the skin tone mixed with it. And this is our based color, so when I'm saying skin tone, that's what I'm talking about. Just our base color. Anytime we get a little bit off or we need a little bit of blending to do, we should be able to pick up a little bit of that color and mix it with whatever we're doing, and it'll unify the whole painting. So that's why we've got so much of it sitting over there.
So, are you dry brushing right now?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's a little bit wet, so it's kind of wet on wet. But there is a little bit of dry brushing going on too. Okay, it's looking good, I think. I'm liking that. So it's really dark right in here. I want to get my liner and grab some of this purple color and use it in this to define my knuckles, or the creases right there at least. Creases out there. And there's some, goes pretty far up there. And then this has a little bit one right here that kind of comes down. there. This one's got like a Y-shaped thing happening. These aren't as dark. I hope I'm not covering up what I'm doing here with my plate. And there's some of this purple color in this shadow right here. Good. And then let's define this nail bed here. I think it's right about there where that nail ends. Comes along there like that. And then there's this creases in this knuckle here. And there's creases up here too, but they're not as dark, so I'm going to grab a little bit of the dark color here, mix that with that purple. And we'll use that to draw I'm going to just tap for this. I don't want it to be super detailed or like straight lines or anything because it's very wrinkly. So there's kind of these semicircle here and then some sort of knuckle shapes, but they're pretty bright in the sun, so you're not seeing them very detailed. All right, I think that's looking all right. There's some wrinkles in the skin right in here. See. So if you take a line from that down, it's kind of on the inside. Just below that, there's some wrinkles that come across here, and then there's some shadow that comes down the hand right here. Here, and grab some of, I think it's a little bit more of the reddish color. Let's grab some of this color and some of the burnt sienna. Maybe a little, I don't know, we'll see. It might be a little bit orange, but we'll try it. Not too bad. I had that blue underneath it, so it kind of toned it down a little bit.
Now, are they wearing sunblock?
I don't know. They should be.
Yeah, I was going to say, at the beach, you're going to burn pretty quickly there.
Yeah. I don't see any sunburn, so I think they're doing okay.
Okay, I'm just concerned, that's all.
You're just a concerned citizen?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for all the kids out there, always wear sunblock.
That's right. That's right. Although I never did. I spent so many summers in California. I probably damaged my skin pretty good. All right, I'm grabbing some of this violet color that it was the blue and red mixture and mixing it with my skin tone here to get kind of a medium violet for this part of the hand. Might go a little bit darker.
So is the masonite board that you're painting on, is that smoother than a normal canvas or canvas
yes,
board?
it is. Yeah,
okay.
It is. And I think it makes it a little bit easier to do these kind of skin tones because it doesn't... Oh, what did I do with his wrist here? I forgot to put the whole rest of the hand in. That's hilarious. His wrist goes all the way up here. I did it. That's my fifth grade interpretation of a hand right there. You're seeing. Okay, so I'm going to use this dark. This is the ultramarine blue and red, and with a little bit of this base color mixed in, and I'm going to use that to darken up some of these shadows on this side of the hand. There's like these tendons in the hand that casts shadows right there and right here a little bit, and then there's wrinkles in the wrist right here. and shadow all along this whole area right here. This triangle shape right here kind of extends all the way up to this finger. Okay.
You're going to have to fix that arm quick because I can't stop staring at it now.
Okay. All right. I'll fix it.
It's maybe E.T. or something. I don't know.
There we go. Is that better?
I just can't stop staring at it.
There. You're good. Okay, so we're a little over an hour here. Hour 21, not too bad. Pretty decent progress on it. And now it's just a matter of going back in and fine-tuning. You know, this is obviously very, very stark right here. But so now what we can do is kind of grab some of our flesh tone and dry brush over it lightly. I'm going to grab a little bit of water just to give it a little bit of softness, but we can kind of go back over some of the edges here and blend in. I don't want to take out all the darkness, but we can kind of soften it up. So we can go a little bit darker with this than we need it to be, and then we can kind of come back in with our lighter colors and finesse it a little bit. And it looks very violet, but if you look in our photograph, it is very violet toned. It's got a lot of this, you know, we're pretty close on the color. It may be a little bit more red in here, so I might go back in with a little bit of the reddish orange color, but we'll grab a little bit of this color. I think that that will help, adding a little bit of that in, although that looks really dark. Or not dark, but looks really, really orange, so I might add a little bit more of the red to it to pink it out a little bit. And a little bit of the white just to soften it slightly. And if it's still too in your face, we can add a little bit of the gray just to gray it out. But I still think it could go a little bit redder. There we go. A little bit more pink-ish. Grab some of that violet color wherever it is. There it is right there. Mix that together. Okay, let's see. That's a little bit better, I think. A little bit more pink toned, a little bit more kind of realistic looking, maybe, hopefully. Let's get a dark shadow under here. There's kind of some darkness under there, so we'll grab some of that burnt umber, mix it with that red, reddish pink. See if that, yeah, that looks good. Use a bit of that on there. I mean, honestly, there's probably 20 or 30 different skin tones in one, you know, in this painting. You're just kind of changing them because the light's changing depending on where it's hitting the hand, and you know, some of it's in shadow, but you're still seeing a little bit of the light hitting it and that kind of thing. So it's challenging, but it's kind of a fun challenge, I think. Kind of take it on and work out all these little color changes. There's kind of a sharp angle on this shadow right there. And then there's kind of an outline on the back side of it. There's like a shadow that's kind of peeking through the back of that, so you can outline it just slightly. There's a very blue spot right there, so I'm going to grab some of my blue. Make sure I have that in there. This area is really blue right there, where I think the skin is thin. Okay, getting there. Now we're going to add some highlights, but I'm going to switch to a larger brush and get this wrist in because it's kind of looking funky. And I think I made her whole hand right there a little lumpy. Now that I look at it, I probably need to, I don't know if I can mix that color exactly. That ocean color. A little bit of white. Don't do this at home, kids. If you do it right the first time, you don't have to adjust it. I think that's good. Close enough. I don't know what happened there. Okay, so a little bit of that, a little bit of the medium color, maybe a little bit of white. Her skin is very, even the light colors are pretty tan. Oops, I picked up green on there. Didn't mean to do that. Oh, don't get too far out. Oh, I did it again. It just wants to be wider right there. There we go. The highlight stays pretty far back there, so I think that that's probably good. And then we're going to need to bring some of these orangey red tones in. I'm using a pretty good amount of paint here. Just wanting to get these blended together. Get that red. The highlights kind of stop right in here, so I don't want to go too far into this part of the hand. There's a little bit of a highlight right there, a little bit coming off the knuckle over here. It'll look really bright, but don't worry about it. It'll blend out. We need a little bit of contrast right in there. It's getting to all the same color. There we go. Now we're starting to see the sunlight hitting it. Getting these lighter tones in there. We had to get the darker values in first to kind of give us something to play off of, but now we can add some of these lighter tones on top to really make it pop. All right, I'm liking that a lot. I don't want to mess with it too much because I think it's pretty good. So it needs a little bit more light right there, a little bit more light right here on this wrist, coming down. Clean that off and blend back in with some of my pink tones. Very lightly, just blending into that wet paint. Grab some of that pink. There's these pink highlights that are happening on this part down here. Now that we've got our dark shadows in, we can add some of the lighter shadows over the top. So grab some of this pinkish color and we'll add that down in here. There's some like highlights on the back side of this thumb, even if though it's in shadow. All right. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's work on the other hand and we come back to this once it's starting to dry. Add a little bit of this pink color up here. We're still going to put in one more layer of really, really bright highlights on that hand, and the thumb especially needs something, but this is looking pretty good.
Ooh, we got a question.
Okay.
Somebody's asking, can you glaze your shadow tones into the hands?
Yes, you can. Yep. Yeah, and I tried that a little bit on my my example one, but the paper was pulling the moisture out of it. It just wasn't working very well for me, so it might work differently on a canvas though. So you could definitely try that. And actually I'll put out some glazing medium. We can see what that looks like. So we had that purple color that was kind of our main shadow color. We'll add a little bit of the glazing medium to it. We'll glaze along this part of the hand. Wipe it off. Add some more glazing medium to the sides so that it blends out. And you can also like float it with the glazing medium, so you can control using it just on the corner of the brush. You can see how it's kind of drying before I get it kind of blended in a way, so I don't know. Wasn't really liking the effect that I was getting. Mix some more of this purple color with the Ultramarine Blue and Cadmium Red. Add a little bit of the flesh tone to it. So let's add some of that in this area here. While I have this on my brush, I'm going to add a little bit on this side too. Just right in there. Grab some of my reddish flesh tone, blend back over that. To blend it in. All right. This one needs quite a bit of this pink color, the red tones. It's kind of grayed. Let's get some of that darker color. Add a little bit of red to it. Maybe a little bit of the black that we mix so that it's not so... You've got Ocean playing now?
Nope, it's just not working.
Oh, it's not?
I'm
I
gonna
thought I can hear it.
test it. Oh, really? You could hear it?
Well, I can hear it from somewhere. You don't hear it?
Well, it's not playing right now, so it's in your imagination.
Okay. I'm just
But we
there.
won't-
I'm just there.
We won't tell people
my head.
about that.
Grab some of this purple color. We'll use that back in here.
Somebody's asked if you ever sand your canvases.
I don't. No, I used to do it when I used to paint on wood, though, but I don't ever find the need to sand them. I wonder why you would. I guess if you gessoed them, to smooth them out a little bit. Or I guess it smooths out the gesso and the texture. I like the texture on my canvases. I kind of use it to create dry brush and things like that, so I don't ever find that it bothers me. But yeah, you could. I think I could see where you might want to. This should have gone back down. Oh well. Okay, so he's got a big tendon that runs right here that creates this like light shadow or light highlight right there. We'll grab our highlight color over here that we mixed with the yellows and white. So it's going to come across pretty low, actually. Comes almost down to the bottom of the thumb right there. And then it comes into the just before this kind of shape right in here. And I guess this could be a female wrist. I don't know. It looks like a male thumb, though. To me, it looked like a kind of a manly sized thumb. So, but create your own narrative. Right, using some of this bright color. Just tap it in along the top of that finger there. Okay, now I made his knuckle thing way too big. Well,
Okay, somebody's asked if you are having blending problems on these top layers.
no, it's actually working pretty well. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm pleased with it. Sometimes if you, I think because I'm using full strength paint, it's sticking pretty well. I've used some gesso board before in my kids' class, and we had a heck of a time with it because it was wanting to lift off the color. So every time we put a new color on, it was trying to pull off the color underneath. So I don't know. But no, this isn't doing that at all. I'm not having any issues with it, so that's good. I'm losing my voice. Better get it done. Sorry.
Do you need me to like run on the field with a sports bottle like they do in NFL and stuff like that?
Here's this reddish purple color here. You might have to in a minute here.
Okay.
I might need you to tap in. I can tap out for a few minutes. That finger looks abnormally large for the. I think I got the knuckle angle wrong. I did. I don't know how I did that and drew it at the same time. But, okay, well, I'm going to fix that. There's this tendon that runs this back side of the hand here. And another one on this knuckle right there. I think because it was so hard to see on my picture there. But this knuckle is not nearly that high. It comes in like right here. Definitely losing my voice here. I don't know how people do 5 videos a week. They must talk all at one. I don't know.
Yeah, but are they hour and a half, 2 hours long?
They're
each?
not. I don't think so.
They're usually only
30 minutes.
15, 20,
Yeah.
30 minutes. So
True. My voice is like, you're done. You're done for the week. You did your quota. That's it. We're over this. I'm going to add a little bit of this dark color in our creases here. Well, it's looking pretty decent. I think I'm liking it okay. Paintings always kind of go through stages, and I've said this before, but I don't think I've ever done a painting where I've started out and I've loved it all the way through. It's always kind of, sometimes it's easier to see the end point of it, so you realize that you're definitely on track, but sometimes you are just in the middle of a painting and you're like, I have no idea how this is going to turn out because this is not doing it for me right now. And that's normal. All paintings go through weird, ugly stages. You just kind of have to keep on going, keep adding layers, hope for the best. And I think a lot of times when people send me their pictures and they have had issues, there's one of two problems. One is, well, there's multiple issues, but one is that they've got their drawing a little bit off, so they just need to adjust their, drawing just slightly somehow. Another one can be that they have their values off, so that they just need to go a little bit darker in some areas or lighter in some areas. And another that is just that they kind of need to keep going with the layers, and that's kind of the same thing with the dark and light, that they just kind of give up too soon. They've finished before, or they've stopped before they've continued the layers. And this is what we're at least 3 layers in deep right now, if not 4, on these hands, and we're going to still go a couple more layers before we're done. So all right, so up in here there's like some more shadows that we need to put in. Our highlights are looking a little bit weird right now. This finger has a highlight that comes all the way down it, and the knuckle is very bright right here. And then it kind of widens out and connects with this one there. We'll soften up that. There's a really bright highlight on this knuckle here. It's almost white right there. And right here. It's going to look really weird, but we'll blend it out. Got to have these really, really dark and really, really light. I talked about values in one of my recent chats in my Facebook group for the Patreon folks. And, just was mentioning that, most of my paintings that I really think are the most effective and have the most drama are ones that I have the full range of values, from the darkest darks to the lightest lights. So when you're doing your painting and you're getting, toward the end here, this is where you go back in and really add a really, really bright. I always go back in at the very end and grab some really bright whites and throw in a few really sharp highlights to help pop that. All of a sudden it'll just pop those fingers right up at you, or whatever it is you're painting. And I'm kind of dry brushing these in. Put a few on the other side. This actually comes down here, does this highlight sort of below this knuckle. Get some of my flesh tone and blend that out a little bit. See how that's kind of starting to give him a little bit more dimension now. This thumb is going to be one of the brightest parts on this finger. On this one, I'm going to put a really bright spot there and then blend it out with some of my flesh color. We're almost done, hon. Mark's over there yawning, poor thing.
Did you hear that yawn?
I did. It was two days in a row. I get it. I do. You're a good sport. There's some, we've lost our knuckles over here, so we're going to put those back in. There's some knuckles down here. Let's get some of this pink color. My paints are starting to dry out too, so they're about done too. Get a little bit of this darker pink. Grab a little bit of the lighter. We'll add a little bit of this highlight right in here, just to soften up that area. Even though it's in shadow, it's got a little bit of a highlight right there. There's a bright highlight right along that knuckle there. I'll wipe it off after I put it on there. Kind of just blend it in. Grab a little bit more of that light color, we'll add it along the back side of this finger here, and a little bit up on top of this one. Wipe off my color, go back in, just blend it out a little bit. I'll grab a little bit of my water, and it'll help blend that out. You could also use glazing medium to blend it out. Okay, we're getting there. Almost. Almost. A little bit of highlight right there. You can see how much darker this dried than it was when we were working on it. There's a really bright highlight right along in there where the sunlight's kind of almost pushing through that skin right there. So I'm going to grab this reddish color and make a really bright reddish white. Pink color right there. Okay, put a little bit of this on his thumb. We need to get his thumb in. We don't have his fingers all done yet. Okay, there's a highlight that comes down his hand here. Grab some of our medium color here, this one. Blend that in over it. And grab my blending medium. My paints are getting sticky. Grab that kind of a reddish purple color over there. I think that was this color. Yep. And we're going to blend that out a little bit just along that transition. Okay. It's a little wet, so you can't see it there very yet, but you'll see it here in a minute. Let's add a little bit of highlight right up here. This finger right here has a grab that purplish color. That's our base for this guy. Shadows, add that in. Just soften that up. Adding a little bit of that right in here. And a little bit on the back side of the... There's kind of some residual light that's hitting. Right,
Okay,
that looks really bright right there, but it'll... What?
I'm going to ask a question. The
Yes.
left thumb.
Yes. This thumb?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not done with it yet.
Okay,
I'm
good.
still working on it.
All right.
Yeah.
It just looks like it just kind of disappears.
Oh no, it's not done yet. I haven't put the knuckles in or anything yet.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah. It'll probably be the last thing I get to. Kind of working my way back down to it here. Okay, that might have gone a little bit too bright there, so I'm going to grab some of my orangey color there and just go back in with some darker. You notice I'm wiping my brush off if I have too much. Well, I'm doing it off camera, so you probably can't see, but anytime I'm kind of going off to the side like this with my brush, most of the time I'm either picking up a little bit of water, which you can usually hear, or I'm wiping off my brush to get off any excess. Okay, I'm liking it. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm going to grab some of this red color here. I want some more red right along in this area. Grab that neutral color and neutralize that red a little bit because it's a little bit bright, but needed a little bit of red. It was getting a little gray, but maybe not that red. I don't know. We'll see. Grab some Ultramarine Blue. Mix it with this brown color here. Well, shade a little bit with that. Okay, let's do our thumb. So we use this color, this darker color with this bluish gray color along the back of the thumb here. We already got it a pretty decent color. It's about the right value. Might add a little bit of this red to it. Wipe that off, grab a little bit of our skin tone, blend some of that in. Look how light that is compared to the colors we're using here. But that's, I think we're doing good. Okay, and this thumb is actually pretty bright, so we're going to add a little bit of this really bright color right here. And the back side of it is a little bit wider than what we've painted here, so we're going to widen that out a little bit. We're almost done. I'm not using the burnt sienna as much as I thought I would in this one. I've pretty much been happy with the colors that we blended at the beginning, so I used it a little bit more on my example one. Well, when you get going, you might find that, you know, certain colors work better for you, so do a little bit of this light color. There's a highlight right along that crease there. It's catching some light. This one is catching some light right here. We are almost done, hon.
So that's the 30-minute warning right there.
Not today. I promise. There's a little bit more white on those knuckles up there. A little bit more white right in here. There's some bright highlight along that finger. And a little bit right in here. You can see it's very, very subtle, but we're really getting there now. You know, I'll just build up these different layers. I think we're really looking pretty good. I might want a little bit darkness right along his finger here, a little bit more maybe. I'm going to go back in now with my number 2 round and grab some blue and mix it with that gray color that we mixed earlier, that black, and make a nice dark shadow color. Maybe a little bit of burnt umber. Just want a little bit more on the blue side than the black side. I think that's good. And we're going to go in here and darken up some of these shadows. These knuckles are very dark on this hand here, so I want to get those in. And then there's like a outline of where we'll add some flesh color so it's not so dark. There's an outline of the thumbnail on this one, just a little bit. Do the same on this side. Just want an indication. It's not super dark. It's actually kind of pink. Let me grab some pink. Add that to it. There we go. It's better. I like that reddish color better than the gray. Okay. Then right here, we need to figure out where his knuckle was. There's a line that comes up there, and then there's little creases right in here. Am I close enough up that they can see these? Okay, hopefully.
I think so.
Okay.
But you know that I won't be painting this right.
True. Okay, grab some light color here. Mix that in with that color and just blend it out in this finger right there. Put a little bit of the dark color underneath this, around this nail bed there. Just to pop it out a little bit. A little bit of a line in there. I'm going to put in. Okay. What are you laughing at? What? Somebody in chat?
Yes, one of our watchers just spoke back up.
Oh.
They said that your soothing voice got them again.
Oh no, I fell asleep. Oh gosh, that's funny. I get told that a lot. That's I think it's a compliment. I hope. Not that it's boring.
Oh,
but-
it is for sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Good. All right. A little bit of that bright color there. A little bit on this part of this thumb here. Get a little water there. Tap that out a little bit. There's a little bit of highlight on the tip of this nail too. I think the light's peeking through their fingers. And one more. I feel like those knuckles could go just a little bit brighter. We'll go a little bit brighter on this highlight along here. Dog wants in. Got locked out. Go a little bit brighter on this side too. This is where we're just kind of adding very, very subtle. Don't want to go too bright too soon because you can kind of mess it up, but you definitely want it bright enough that it gives it some dimension. What do you think, hon? Does it look like a hand?
Yes, they do.
Good.
Very much so.
Good. Good answer. How much do I have to pay you
Thank
for
you.
that?
I'm learning.
Getting that middle tone there just to kind of blend out that, soften that transition there. You've always been sweet. Encouraging, even when I first started.
No, you've always been good.
Well,
And really, actually really
Thank you.
good, should I say. So there's not a lot to encourage.
oh, okay. Thank you, honey. All right, grabbing that gray color, maybe a little bit of that red, make that kind of a violet-ish. I'm gonna adjust this just a little bit right in here. And I think we're about done. I'm gonna make it a little bit of this color, this orangey color, right in here. There we go. Okay. I feel like this looks a little bit brown. I'm gonna put a little bit more blue in there. I'm gonna grab my blue and ultramarine. Add just a tiny bit of the flesh tone to it. Keep it pretty bright and pretty blue. And I'm going to use that to highlight right here. there, a little bit right in here. This will kind of soften that grayness. It's that light ultramarine blue color almost. But it'll give that blue cast to these shadows, soften them up a little bit. They don't look so gray. Okay, almost done. Just little final touches here. Oh yeah, there's a highlight right there that I missed. Grabbing a little bit of glazing medium to help it blend. Okay, that looks shiny, so it looks brighter than it will be when it dries. It's not going to dry that dark. There's a dark right in here that we're kind of missing. And right here and right here. Okay, I think I'm pretty happy with it, I think. Need to stop messing with it anytime now. Just trying to get those values in because let's get some more of this dark on his arm here too. How are we doing?
We're doing good. We're only 15 minutes into your almost done. So we got 15 more minutes to go.
Shut up. Okay. I'll finish. I'll finish, I promise. Just looking, making sure I'm not missing anything. Taking my time here. Right. I think this could be a little bit darker and right in here. All right, I think I'm gonna leave it. I think I like it. Let me zoom out. This is still drying, so it's, well, I might go back in. It's not, sorry. I promise. Here. Okay, it needs to be a little bit lighter right there, or darker, I mean. Okay. There. Okay, I could fiddle with this for another 2 hours, but I think we're good for now. This is good enough. We'll leave it. There's a few more. Actually, one more thing. I promise. Just one. Then I really am done. I'm noticing that I took out this shadow right here. It needs it. gonna get that gray blue color. We'll put it in right here. Okay, done. Ta-da! 2 hours. That's not too bad. 2 hours, 15 minutes. Okay, so I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
Thanks, guys. We appreciate you so much. Our Patreon folks. What? Oh, Mark's gonna draw for us here.
What?
Do you have my mic off?
No.
No? Okay.
You got to stay close by so I can use your mic.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me move over a little bit.
You have to move that. Move that out of the way.
All right.
Okay, so here's my example. I did. You need to let me know if I go off camera. Or anything.
Okay. All right. No.
And this notebook here is
You're
just
doing a girl?
your regular one subject college ruled. It could be, I guess, a narrow ruled, but you know, that's
For
all I'm
practice?
using. Yeah, for practicing. We'll leave a link down in the description to
Okay.
just general notebooks. Maybe not. I don't know. And Angela left out this sheet of paper with a note on it saying for new stickman.
Right.
But little did she know we're changing it up. And this is a Sharpie that one. For those who were in the Facebook group, they'll know what I'm talking about. And so first, you know, again, you have to make sure that you get the right area on the paper here. You know, you could do it, I guess, this way. But I like to do it this way here.
You like the portrait instead of landscape?
Yes. Yes, that's a technical term, yes. And then, so first we'll just start with kind of the head. It might be a little big, I don't know, we'll see.
It's all right.
And then we have the body.
Okay.
And then we're doing a stick woman.
Ooh, like it. She's got a nice big skirt.
And then I'll put in the arms here.
She topless?
I'm not going to say. So this is the hard part here because you have to, know that the body continues down further. So you have to make sure you get the angle of the legs right.
Ah.
When they're coming off.
That's
And so,
tricky.
yeah. So
I like
it's,
it.
it's kind of in there. So
I
there
like
we go.
it. Very good.
And there's the
Good job.
new mascot.
New mascot?
Yes.
New stick woman?
Stick
I like
woman.
it. I like it.
Give us a thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
Thanks, honey. Okay. Well, we'll save her for next time.
Well, everybody said that they might want to have that as the Patreon only.
Ooh,
Stick. So
I
like-
think that's a good idea.
Yeah, we do that, and then I can do
Patreon
another one
only.
on Saturday.
Awesome. I like it. I like it. Okay, guys, that's a special Patreon one. Thanks, guys, so much that are watching live today. We really appreciate you paying to play. It's amazing. I really have been blessed by all of you who have gotten behind our Patreon page and supported us this month. It's been awesome. So, and it's been fun getting to know those of you, who have joined my Facebook group too. So it's been really great. Thanks again, and we will see you Tuesday night. I've got a recording, so we're going to be out of pocket, and then Saturday we'll be back for a regular live show. So we'll see you next time, and I'll be in the group. For those who are in the group, Monday we're going to start our new challenge, so be sure to watch for that in the Facebook group for Patreon. All right, thanks guys. We will see you next time. Bye.